Ben Shapiro put out this video. We're going to try to watch it today.
Nick Fuentes is odious and despicable, but I've never called for his cancellation. And in fact, I've called for his restoration to those services, despite the fact that I think he's odious and despicable. The issue here isn't that Tucker Carlson had Nick Fuentes on his show last week. He has every right to do that, of course. The issue here is that Tucker Carlson decided to normalize and fluff Nick Fuentes, and that the Heritage Foundation then decided to robustly defend that performance. Those who criticize both Tucker and Heritage aren't canceled. They are quite properly drawing a moral line.
By the way, Nick's show last night had like 50,000+ people. That's crazy, dude. That's like somebody sent in the super chat yesterday. They're like, you know, I don't like whatever it is, this or that about Nick. It was the same thing with Trump. It's like, you look, man, you have the leader you got. You know what I mean? To rally behind somebody, the person has to have a following. You can't rally behind somebody with no following because it's not going anywhere. Nick is massive. So what you're looking for is you're looking for two things. You're looking for somebody who has a race realist position and a big audience when you're looking for the guy, and that's Nick. Nick is the guy. You might not like it, but that's just what it is. And in the same way Trump has been the guy for president. Trump's not a race realist at all. Like, Trump's very moderate in his positions, but you're not looking for somebody who has all the exact positions you have. You're looking for somebody who can actually get the job done and is as close to you as possible, basically. So, you know, you might not like it, but unless you can go out and get a massive audience yourself, complaining about it isn't going to do much.
And he's earned increased media attention over the course of the past few years, especially over the last year. Now, from Tucker Carlson's interview, you might have gathered that Fuentes has some borderline views on race, a peculiar obsession with what he calls organized Jewry, and a rather sad relationship with the female sex. But probably you came away thinking that, for the most part, Fuentes lives on the radical edge of normality. You think that if you watch the interview, because Tucker Carlson decided that it was important not only to host Fuentes, but to smooth over his views, water them down, and make them far more palatable to a normal audience. As we'll discuss in a bit, this is what Tucker Carlson does for a living. But back to Nick Fuentes. To understand just what Tucker did here, we must actually examine what Nick Fuentes says on his show, and has said for almost a decade, because he was asked precisely 0 questions about any of what you're about to see by Tucker Carlson. Nick Fuentes says women want to be raped.
A lot of women want to be raped. When I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that. But there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them.
Thanks for cleaning that up. Thanks for clarifying it wasn't anything bad. Obviously, we all know what he's talking about, and it bears out when you look at what women fantasize about. Of course, the sex positive women of the world, the ALs of the world, they'll tell you the fantasies are different from reality. Like, this is like our sexual fantasies, but we don't actually want this for real. It's like, well, that's weird. It's hard to relate as a guy because the stuff that I fantasize about sexually is exactly what I want in real life. So wait a minute, you masturbate thinking about this, but you don't want it to actually happen for real. Okay. Women, am I right?
But also, they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
Nick Fuentes says that his followers should kill, rape, and die in his name.
Raise your right hand. All right, everybody raise your...
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Quasar Goon. I agree, but we'll get to that.
Right hand. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I will kill, rape, and die for Nicholas J. Fuentes.
Obviously,
Nick Fuentes
jokes.
says that women are whores who shouldn't be in politics.
So this is why they can't talk to him in real life, because they're like, why didn't Tucker ask him about the rape, kill, die pledge? And like, if you ask Nick, he'd be like, that's not real. That's a joke. We're just joking around. And then it's like, okay, so now what? We're going to debate whether or not that's a joke or not. It is a joke. It's a joke. Like,
I will continue my hate against women in politics.
Pearson takes it serious.
It's always like this, and it's so ironic. Women are like, when you say to repeal the 19th Amendment, that offends me. That hurts my feelings. It's like, have you ever stopped and considered that maybe if you get offended, there's such a strong emotional reaction to political opinions you disagree with across the board? Maybe that's one of the reasons why you shouldn't be making political decisions. I'm not attacking women.
I know these clips are so old. This is like, it's funny because we just watched Ben Shapiro complaining of, why are you pulling up something from 7 years ago? That was what, you want to talk to me now? And it's like, this is like childhood Fuentes here. This is going way back. It's like a little kid. I just want to like give him a lollipop when I watch this clip. I just want to give him a lollipop and be like, here you go, big guy. Did you have fun at school today?
Nick Fuentes says that Jim Crow was actually better for black people.
Drink out of a different water fountain. Big fucking deal. Oh no, they had to go to a different school. Their water fountain in that famous picture was worse. Who cares? Grow up. Drink out of the fucking water fountain. It's water. It's the same, you know? And, even if it was bad, who cares? Who cares? It's better. It's better in general. We all agree it was better for them. It's better for us.
Nick Fuentes says that white people are justified in being racist.
Reason that we talk about this, by the way, I know a lot of black people see this and they go, man, why are you always talking about black people, this and that? Because there just needs to be some shame here. Well, there's a few reasons. First, white people are every single bit justified in being racist.
Yes.
Every single bit justified to the
Wow, I can't believe Nick has the audacity to say things that I 100% agree with as a white person. But I guess I'll let the Jew tell me how I'm supposed to feel, right, Ben? Heaven forbid white people talk amongst themselves about how they feel about the current situation. So we forgot to check with the Jews. Ben Shapiro, oh, you feel justified in feeling racist? Isn't there someone you forgot to ask?
extent that means going out of your way to avoid black people when you see them.
Nick Fuentes is a Hitler admirer and a Holocaust denier.
So real.
Buddy, it's Führer Friday.
It's usually like, I mean, I don't live in like a city, so I don't like encounter these situations where it's like a black person I got to cross the street or whatever. There was one time, and it's funny because it's so rare that it's burned into my memory, but when Allison and I went to Portland for one of my green card interviews, and there was like this crazy homeless black dude. We were like outside like the train station for some reason. I think that was like where we found parking, and it was like, don't make eye contact or he'll kill us. So you catch a glimpse of a guy and you're like, if we accidentally make eye contact, he will kill us. You know what I mean? Well, that's like one of the only times in real life where it was like the full-blown self-preservation racism had to kick in. But then in general, it's more like I walk into a store because I want to get a new phone, and then I'm waiting for an agent, and then the agent comes out and it's a black woman, and I just like groan internally because I'm trapped now. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, I'm leaving. It's just like, fuck my life. Why me? And then you deal with it. And during that interaction, the stereotypes that you feared are affirmed over and over and over again. And you leave the interaction feeling just a little bit more racist. That ever happened to you?
It is Hitler Friday. Shut up. It is Heil Hitler Friday, nigga. Heil Hitler. All my niggas Nazis.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. Time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go. It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook
Cookie
a batch
Monster
of cookies,
thing.
and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there. The math doesn't quite seem to add up there. I don't think you'd...
This is like that Spider-Man meme. Like, Harry, I already like Nick. You don't have to sell me on him.
Result in 6
Ben's
million,
just
maybe
showing
200
like
to
the
300,000
greatest hits of some of the funniest clips.
cookies, and I think the Red Cookie Association said something like that, probably 200 to 300,000 cookies baked, probably. And in addition, you know, in this hypothetical, I imagine that if you took aerial photographs over the kitchens, you would need to see certain smokestacks to release the smoke from baking the cookies, and the smokestacks would project certain shadows, but I guess they're not visible in the aerial photographs taken over the kitchens. Moreover, if you look at the soil texture, it's really not deep enough for mass.
Dude, I think you're like 5 or 6 more Catboy jokes away from completely destroying Nick's reputation. We've been doing the Catboy thing for like 6 or 7 years, and I feel I just keep going, man. You're almost there. It's almost gonna work where everybody's like, oh, Catboy, that's a deal breaker.
Cookie storage underground.
Nick Fuentes believes that the Jews start all the wars, that perfidious Jews in positions of power ought to be killed, and says the Jews are filth who have to be removed from the country.
And once again, remember who is responsible for it all. The Jews. They are responsible.
It's funny how in the younger clips, he's more just like joking around, obviously, and being edgy. And then in the older clips, you can see he's kind of got like a fire lit more, like he's more serious, more animated, more focused. Makes you wonder where he's going to be in like another decade.
Responsible for
He's going to have a little mustache, banging the desk when he talks.
every war in the world. It's not even debatable at this point. This has nothing to do with oil. This has nothing to do with democracy. This has nothing to do with liberal internationalism. We are at war with Iran because they pose a threat to Israel's hegemony. That's why we're bombing their nukes, to pave the way for regime change so Israel can dominate the region, because that makes them the most powerful they can be.
There is an occult element at the high levels of society, and specifically among the Jews. These people that are communing with demons and engaging in this sort of witchcraft and stuff, and these people that are suppressing the name Christ and suppressing Christianity, they must be absolutely annihilated when we take power. This is God's country. This is Jesus's country. This is not the domain of atheists or devil worshippers or perfidious Jews. This is Christ's country.
If you were born in this country, I don't even care who you are, what you are. If you are a real American that loves this country, you have generations in this country, your family or you fought for this flag, fought for the Constitution, fought for our church, fought for our civilization.
Bert was an avid woman beater.
For all of you, I say about Josh Hammer and Mark Levin and Laura Loomer, fuck them. Fuck them. Deeply, seriously, get them the fuck out of our...
There was a really funny viral tweet like a week or two ago. So it was something like, you ever notice how women beaters always have a woman to beat? It's like that was it. That was the tweet. It's like really funny.
Country.
Nick Fuentes, it should be mentioned, despises Donald Trump and the MAGA movement as well.
When we look back on the history of populism in America, we are going to look back on the MAGA movement as the biggest scam. And the liberals were right. The MAGA supporters were had. They were.
So that right there is just a brief glimpse into the twisted mind of Fuentes. And there's plenty more where that came from. Of course, hours of it per day, in fact. And there's no doubt that Nick Fuentes has a lot of play these days. That's because the left, by moving into a politics of anti-white, anti-Christian, anti-male identitarianism, created its bizarro mirror image. A white pseudo-Christian incel identitarian movement dedicated to destroying the institutions of this country and replacing Americanism with something else. Nick Fuentes' philosophy is not fully formed. It's an incoherent stew of malignity. But that's where Tucker Carlson enters the story. Now, since his exit from Fox News in 2023, when, of course, he was a very, very popular host, Tucker Carlson has turned himself into a conspiracist and a crank and a pathological liar. Tucker excuses Vladimir Putin's murderous and barbarous reign. He has even become one of his most ardent defenders.
It is so much nicer than any city in my country. I had no idea. My father spent a lot of time there in the 80s when he worked for the U.S. government and barely had electricity. And now it is so much cleaner and safer and prettier aesthetically. It's architecture, it's food, it's service than any country, city in the United States that you have to, and this is non-ideological. How did that happen? How did that happen? And at a certain point, I don't think the average person cares as much about abstractions as about the concrete reality of his life. And if you can't use your subway, for example, as many people are afraid to in New York City because it's too dangerous, you have to sort of wonder, like, isn't that the ultimate measure of leadership? And that's true.
Nick gets more views than Ben. I mean, yeah, he was joking about that from the little bit I watched last night. He's like, maybe I'll platform Ben Shapiro. Maybe I'll mainstream. Nick's going, maybe I'll mainstream Ben Shapiro and give him a platform. I thought that was pretty funny.
By the way, it's radicalizing for an American to go to Moscow. I didn't know that. I've learned it this week. To Singapore, to Tokyo, to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Because these cities, no matter how we're told they're run and on what principles they're run, are wonderful places to live.
So I guess you put in 10 rubles here and you get it back.
Dude,
when you put the cart
back. Make your arguments, Ben.
So
like it's
free,
like,
but there's an incentive to
we're
return
13
it
minutes
and
in and
it
it's
to your
just
home with a
clips.
gift. I went from amused to legitimately angry. So we were guessing what this would cost. Everybody here states buys groceries. We didn't pay any attention to costs as we were just putting in the cart what we would actually eat over a week. And we all came in around $400, about 400. It was $104 here. And that's when you start to realize that ideology maybe doesn't matter as much as you thought. Corruption.
It's this funny thing too, where it's like, well, it's not a relevant point. If groceries are 4 times more expensive in America, is that not like a point you can make? Like, wow, it's so much more expensive. Now, generally, cost of living like correlates with places you want to live, so it's not really like a profound or good argument even. But it doesn't mean that you are like, you know, the point is that you can't compliment Russia, right? That's the whole point, the whole subtext of this. It's not like Tucker's wrong and it doesn't matter that groceries are cheaper or that they're not cheaper. It's just like you're not allowed to have anything positive to say about Russia at all. Just like a stupid point.
If you take people's standard of living, tank it, fill crime and inflation, they can't buy the groceries. At that point, maybe it matters less what you say or whether you're a good person or a bad person. Your wreck lives and our leaders have done to us.
When Tucker Carlson interviewed Vladimir Putin, by the way, Vladimir Putin was so amused by Tucker Carlson's easy questioning that he actually mocked him. Tucker Carlson has massaged the Iranian dictatorship and admitted to not asking any difficult questions of the president of that dictatorship.
The interview is limited by
Tucker probably just didn't want Putin to spurg out and leave the interview, Ben.
a couple of factors. One, it was done by remote through a translator. That's always awkward. For another, I don't speak Persian. And there are all kinds of questions that I didn't ask the president of Iran, particularly questions to which I knew I could not get an honest answer, such as, was your nuclear program totally disabled by the bombing campaign by the U.S. government a week and a half ago? There's no chance he's going to answer that question honestly. I didn't bother to ask it. The answer, in fact, from an American perspective, even from the CIA's perspective, is unknowable.
Tucker bizarrely worships at the altar of Qatar.
They're mad at you because you don't put your parents in some institution. Maybe they're trying to break up your family.
Well, it can be a reason. Honestly, I don't know what is really the purpose behind this, but we see that, you know, a lot of things that are happening are attacks on humanity in general. It's when you lose the family value, when you lose the connection between the family themselves, you will lose the connection between the people as well.
UK has lower white population than America. That's definitely not true. The reason it seems like UK is so brown is because Muslims cause so many problems, and they all create ethnic enclaves everywhere they go. So anywhere Muslims go, it's like you take a camera there and it looks like you're in Afghanistan or whatever, you know? But it's just their neighborhoods because they all clump together. But UK is actually much whiter than America percentage-wise.
On a broader level, on the people in the same neighborhood, on the people in the same region, in the same countries. And that's basically will just make us, you know, as individuals who are, quote unquote, independent from anyone. That's what we will feel. Yet it will just make our societies vulnerable and easy to be penetrated.
That's right.
Tucker Carlson praises Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro, even as Maduro keeps...
Well, yeah, they're on their way because Muslims do be breeding. Muslims don't work. They collect welfare and they make babies nonstop. That's what they do they take your welfare money and they make babies nonstop.
The entire country in communist penury and ships fentanyl into the United States to kill Americans by the hundreds of thousands.
Why are we so opposed to Nicolas Maduro? So if you ask someone on the street, random person, why are we against Nicolas Maduro? The answer you're going to get is, who's Nicolas Maduro? But if you find someone in South Florida, for example,
Dude, I can't even put my mind inside the kind of person who's like, oh my God, Tucker likes Qatar. You know what I mean? I didn't even listen to what the Qatari guy was saying. You got me. I wasn't even my ability to care less about Qatar and Nicolas Maduro and stuff like this, it's basically maxed out. It's like I don't care, and I can't even like really understand people who do care, which, look, maybe that speaks to my own ignorance. Maybe if Maduro isn't taken care of, it spells the end of America. Maybe I'm just an ignorant retard, but I don't care. Do people care about this shit? Do people are like, oh my God, Tucker praised Qatar and he went to a Russian grocery store and he doesn't hate Nicolas Maduro or whatever they're talking about now? I don't even know what they're talking about. I'm so zoned out. Who gives a fuck? I admittedly care a lot more about Israel than these other places. I'm not denying that. And I feel like I can justify it, but I don't know.
Who knows who Nicolas Maduro is, who can identify where Venezuela is on a map. That person will almost certainly say, well, because he's a communist or a socialist, he's exceedingly left-wing, and that is true. Nicolas Maduro and his government are very left-wing on economic, not on social policy, by the way, which is kind of interesting. In Venezuela, gay marriage is banned, abortion is banned, sex changes for transgenderism are banned.
Based.
One of the very few countries in the entire hemisphere with those policies. It is on social policy, not.
Yeah, there's still places where abortion is banned that aren't Muslim countries. That's crazy.
Defending the regime, just saying. One of the most conservative countries in North or South or Central America. Only El Salvador really comes close.
Tucker Carlson glosses Hamas, the genocidal jihadi group behind October 7th, as a political organization.
You can't claim that they're in Hamas while simultaneously claiming that Hamas is a group of jihadis. They're Islamic extremists, which they also claim constantly. Which I don't know if that's true, by the way. It seems more like a political organization, but whatever it is, they're telling us constantly they're Al Qaeda.
Tucker Carlson has attacked President Trump as a cover-up artist for sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein on behalf of Israel and Mossad, making sure.
Dude, I need to go check out the comments, and I can't imagine that people are like, oh my God, Tucker Carlson is so bad. I had no idea. I imagine it's not looking good.
Hey folks, I want
for Shapiro here. You know Ben is serious when there isn't a single ad read in the vid. Nick is going to go nuclear on Ben just to bait him. Right-wing pods are about to be wild. America first. Get back to work, Matt Walsh. What if we do newest first, where it's less of a popularity contest? Thank you for your moral clarity and courage. So there's one. BLM and all saw how beneficial Israel first cancel culture was and copied it just to bait him. Much love and support for Tucker and Nick. It's not platforming Nick. He has 1 million followers. He already has a platform. Your time is up. Yeah. Weird. People are really just going to ignore Tucker's disposition towards Qatar? People are really just going to ignore Tucker's disposition towards Maduro? Wow. Big up, Nick. Fuck you and your tiny hat. Jeez. It's worse than I thought. 30K likes versus 25K dislikes. Let's check the updated numbers here. 26K dislikes. All right. So it's a bloodbath in the comments. We literally saw one supportive comment. And none in the top. None when we were looking at the top comments. Yeah. Okay.
Of course, never to mention President.
It's over. It's Shapover. It's Shapover, guys.
Trump's name, because of course Tucker's a coward.
And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that.
Tucker Carlson has stated that President Trump has undermined America First and MAGA by attacking Iran, giving in to neocon ghouls like Mark Levin. According to Tucker Carlson, who admits that he first read the Bible all the way through just 2 years ago, Christians who support a Jewish state of Israel are heretics and blasphemers with a brain virus.
How do you explain Mike Huckabee, Ted Cruz, and there are a lot, John Bolton. I mean, I've known them all, George W. Bush, like Karl Rove. I mean, all people I know personally, and they're not Jewish. Most of them are self-described Christians. And then the Christian Zionists who are, well, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that?
Right.
And I could just say for myself, I dislike them more than anybody, because like what? Because it's Christian heresy, and I'm offended by that as a Christian.
Tucker Carlson has said that he despises American
I agree theologically with what Tucker was saying there. So
Jews who care about October.
That's something you can debate Nick on, Ben. Debate him on the theology of what is Israel and how do Christians have an obligation to support the nation state of Israel? Let's do that debate.
7. We, in his words, don't care about America and also want to get his kids killed in a foreign war.
I've got 4 draft-age children, so if you're playing recklessly, fast and loose with their lives, then I have a right to despise you, and I do. So if you're Nikki Haley, who's running for president, or Ben Shapiro, or half the people I see on television casually mentioning the possibility of nuclear war, or sending Americans to fight in the Middle East, or in any way involving us in a war that has nothing to do with prosperity and peace at home, nothing, in other words, to do with us, Americans.
Yeah, thank you, Jew who rejects the Messiah, for telling me what is and isn't heresy, by the way. That was a good point. Whoever said that in the chat.
Then I have a right to call you out and be really offended because it's my family. They live here. It's not a joke to me. There's nothing abstract about it.
But most of all, Tucker Carlson acts as an ideological launderer for other people's evil. Tucker Carlson says many inflammatory things. He's a master of gaslighting. Tucker Carlson, for example, would never say out loud what Nick Fuentes does. He wouldn't say the things many of his guests say. And so instead, he acts as an ideological launderer. He takes other people's hideous ideas, he softens them, he treats them with love and care, and then he provides them with a massive signal boost. He isn't merely talking to people in good faith, of course. He's promoting certain people and ideas and attacking others. So, for example, he'll ask a series of wildly obsequious questions to Nick Fuentes. He'll even let...
Imagine if Rogan hosted Shapiro versus Fuentes. That would be like the political stream of the decade, man. That would be, it would be like the time Rogan did Tim Pool versus Jack Dorsey, which is one of the last and only times Rogan ever did anything that was really worth watching. Like it was like one of the only times that Rogan ever did anything that mattered, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, Rogan should do Shapiro versus Fuentes. I don't think there's anything that could get Shapiro to agree to it, but Rogan hosting it would probably help. It would probably be one thing that would nudge him towards agreement.
Nick Fuentes' support for Joseph Stalin slide.
It's actually funny. It was December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me.
Why?
And it's Joseph Stalin's birthday.
Oh.
I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's.
Mm-hmm. Always an admirer. But we don't need to go into that, I guess. Like...
Well, that's okay. Let's get back.
Well,
Nick kind of walked this back last night. He's like, I caught that too. He's like, oh, well, just because somebody's great doesn't mean you like morally affirm them or whatever. And it's like, true, but you said you're a fan and an admirer. And then he used Netanyahu as an example of a great man. And it's like, so what, you're a Netanyahu fan and you admire Netanyahu? Which maybe he would bite the bullet on that. I guess technically it is defensible from a English semantic viewpoint. You can admire somebody's achievements without liking them as a person or thinking that they're good people. It is defensible.
We'll circle back.
But it felt like a bit of a backpedal on the Stalin thing.
To that.
But he will grill Ted Cruz about the population of Iran. Tucker Carlson will have on Vladimir Putin's evil anti-American mouthpiece, Alexander...
Which I don't care about. You can like Stalin. I really don't care, just to be clear. I'm just saying it felt like a little bit of a backpedal.
Dugin, and then praise him.
Alexander Dugin is a 62-year-old Russian academic philosopher. He spent his life in Moscow. He was an anti-Soviet dissident as a young man. And now he is famous the world over, in the English language press anyway, as, quote, Putin's brain. But he is not a political figure here in Russia. He is, once again, a philosopher. And his ideas are deeply offensive to some people. In August of 2022, his only daughter was murdered in Moscow when a car bomb killed her. U.S. intelligence says she was murdered by the Ukrainian government, and we take that at face value. But what's interesting is that, once again, Alexander Dugin is not a military leader. He's not a close daily advisor to Vladimir Putin. He is a writer who writes about big ideas. And for this, his books have been banned by the Biden administration in the United States. You cannot buy them on Amazon. Banning books in the United States because the ideas inside are too dangerous. He's often described, again in the English language press, as far right. We'll let you assess. But we wanted to talk to him about some of his ideas, these ideas that are so dangerous that his only daughter was murdered over them, and his book's been banned in the United States.
Tucker Carlson will have on a Hitler-friendly pseudo-historian to minimize the Holocaust and blame Winston Churchill for World War II. And he will call him America's best and most honest historian.
I thought Churchill was the chief villain of the Second World War. Now, he didn't kill the most people. He didn't commit the most atrocities. But I believe, and I think when you really get into it and tell the story right and don't leave anything out, you see.
Bro, we're 23 minutes in and it's just clips. And most of these clips people are already familiar with. We all watched you try to cancel Tucker Carlson when he had Martyr Made on, Daryl. And it's like, if it didn't work back then, it probably isn't working now. And if it did work back then what you're preaching to the choir.
He was primarily responsible for that war becoming what it did, becoming something other than an invasion of Poland. You know, Germany, look, they put themselves into a position, and Adolf Hitler's chiefly responsible for this, but his whole regime is responsible for it, that when they went into the East in 1941, they launched a war where they were completely unprepared to deal with the millions and millions of prisoners of war, local political prisoners, and so forth that they were going to have to handle. They went in with no plan for that. And they just threw these people into camps, and millions of people ended up dead there.
And that is the pseudo-historian that Tucker Carlson has said is the best and most honest historian in America. Tucker Carlson will have on over and over a pro-Chinese propagandist who used global warming to promote global socialism, all in order to criticize Israel and hug China.
Israel has run American foreign policy in the Middle East for 30 years. That's how it works. This is actually the truth. If we drop our angst on big bad Russia, actually, we didn't have a chance to talk about it this time, maybe another time, big bad China, which is also not going to invade the United States, not going to threaten us, not going to go to war with us. They're trying to deal with aging, and they've got their declining population and many other things. Not that they're falling apart. It's a very impressive civilization, but they're not a threat to the United States, honestly, and Iran is not a threat.
Tucker Carlson, of course, brings on pro-Hamas voices episode after episode after episode. The instances are almost limitless. Tucker Carlson will host Andrew Tate,
I find it really hard to believe that Iran is a threat to the United States. Threat to Israel, perhaps, a little bit.
Pornographer and scam artist who mocks rape victims and preaches a cult of narcissism and cruelty. And, of course, Tucker Carlson will glorify him and present him as a maligned truth teller rather than an emblem of moral rot. See, this is how Tucker Carlson's ideological laundering works. You bring your dirty, ugly ideologies to Tucker Carlson's rhetorical car wash. He mixes it with some of the vestigial respect Americans have for him from his Fox News days, and voila, hideous ideas suddenly become mainstream. And then, of course, Tucker denies he said anything controversial at all. He was just asking questions. He was just interviewing people. You don't want him to cancel people, do you? Of course, there is no First Amendment right to a Tucker Carlson sensual massage. But to listen to Tucker, you'd think there was, so long as you despise America, oppose President Trump's foreign policy, and bear a peculiar dislike of Jews. Tucker Carlson, you see, is a coward. And here is where his relationship with Nick Fuentes begins, with Nick Fuentes correctly pointing out that Tucker Carlson is a coward. You see, Tucker Carlson, a few weeks back, had on Candace Owens to treat her to his usual ideological laundering services. That's after years of Candace Owens saying things like this.
And it is the case that dinosaur bones.
Ben doesn't realize what is Ben? Yeah, when Ben looks at the comments, what is he thinking? Oy vey, oy vey. What am I going to do now? My best hit piece didn't work.
For whatever reason, are always just found by the paleontologist. Like, it's not like you and me walking outside. I'm like, hey, a dinosaur bone. And
I even played the Cookie Monster clip. Now what am I going to do? It's Shapover.
And, or by somebody who's related to a paleontologist. It's very strange. And then, but it was just convenient for Israel that JFK got shot. It was just convenient, you guys. Totally convenient. It was convenient for Israel, by the way, when the towers went down.
I just want to be clear. Anything happens to me, blame the Zionists. Like 1,000% blame the Zionists. Like let that be my parting word.
I'm waking people up to the fact that pedophiles are in power. They're literally in power. And that is intentional because then they can be controlled while they are in power. And they are also exhibiting signs of a psychopathology that lets them know that they will do harm to the masses and feel nothing because they were themselves, many of them, raped when they were children. Yep. It is not a coincidence that Justin Trudeau is gay. Obama, gay. Zelensky, gay. Emmanuel Macron, gay and married.
Trudeau is definitely not gay, okay? I don't like Trudeau at all, but that's crazy. Where did she get that from?
To a trans man who molested him when he was a child.
Well, Candace Owens had recently hosted Nick Fuentes, and this led Tucker Carlson.
Just because Trudeau's mom fucked Fidel Castro doesn't mean that. That part I do believe. I actually believe that's like a conspiracy theory that I do believe that he's what's his face? He's Castro's kid, but he's not gay. Trudeau is 100% gay. No, he's not.
In an attempt to
yeah, he's just Canadian. That's just how Canadians talk, bro. He's not gay. He looks and acts gay. No, he's just a sensitive young man.
Associate from Fuentes to label him a weird little gay kid operating from a basement and a Fed as well.
That's obvious to me. I've been around a long time. I know it when I see it.
Yeah, and I will say I don't understand it. We were very kind to him. Like I truly, like we almost said, like we felt maybe he was a bit lonely. We should invite him back for dinner. I mean, that's how good of an experience I had.
It's clearly it's
and then it was a
sad.
180. So it's either A, it's being driven from like a little boy insecurity, and he just was so worried that he like just went on the attack because he doesn't know how to have normal relations after being banned everywhere.
Well, I think there's
that could be one element.
The angry gay kid thing going on. Yeah.
Well, Nick Fuentes did not take kindly to this. After all, here was Tucker Carlson, a man Nick Fuentes correctly sees as a fellow traveler, dismissing him, all the while refusing to say the sorts of things for which Fuentes takes slings and arrows. And so Fuentes unleashed on him as a fraud and also as an expert on gaslighting.
Tucker is like the goat of gaslighting. But unironically, he goes up at the memorial and said Charlie Kirk told the truth. You know who else told the truth? Jesus. And you know what happened? He got killed by Jews.
Yeah, Tucker, that he apologized, I think, for during the interview, he said, sorry I called you gay or something like that.
And people said, so are you saying that the Jews killed Charlie Kirk in the way that they killed Jesus for telling the truth because they hate the truth? And Tucker said, I never said that. You're crazy.
This whole show is just clips. Clips of them being either funny or right or talking about stuff that I do not care about at all as an American.
Never said that. Everyone eats hummus. What do you mean? Everyone runs Jerusalem. But I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, does Ben always do? Is this always how his show is? Is it just him playing clips of people he doesn't like and then sitting there being like, really? Is this what we are now? Is this what the conservative movement has become?
Says, I have so many trust funds, I never have to work. Tucker went to a $45,000 per year private high school, then a $45,000 per year selective Ivy League school in New England. Tucker Carlson's daddy was a Reagan appointee. And then, after years of bragging about being an elite, so out of touch and so rich, now he's going to be the spokesperson for all the white people. Now he's going to roll up his sleeves. I just like to hunt and fish in my log cabin. I care about Klarna and credit card debt. But then when it comes to me, I'm one of the real disaffected white people. You want to talk about me and them?
I've seen all these clips before, man.
Well, there was one big problem for Tucker Carlson in all of this. Nick Fuentes is absolutely 100%.
I don't know what I expected from this video, but it wasn't this. I expected him to like try to make more of an argument than just like, look at these horrific things they said.
Correct. Tucker is a coward. And Tucker's audience, much of which he shares with Nick Fuentes, knows it. And so Tucker hit upon a final stratagem. He let Nick Fuentes cuck him. He brought Nick Fuentes on to legitimate his ideology. He signal boosted Fuentes, glossed him, shined him, presented him to the world, all in order to protect his own reputation with his online base. A base he is competing over with Nick Fuentes. Now, of course, Tucker has a right to do all of this for the 100th time. He can do what he likes. This is America. But there's no question that Tucker has become the most virulent super spreader of vile ideas in America. And the rest of us who oppose those vile ideas have every right to call him that. There's one other element here that's even darker if possible. Tucker Carlson preys on the friendship he proclaims with others, and then he knifes them directly between the shoulder blades when convenient for him. Tucker Carlson is, in short, a terrible friend. Tucker Carlson was supposedly Charlie Kirk's friend. Charlie believed that Nick Fuentes was vermin. That's a direct quote. He believed that because Nick Fuentes dedicated his life to destroying Charlie Kirk and TPUSA from the inside. In fact, here's Nick Fuentes describing Charlie Kirk the month before Charlie was murdered.
Right, and the point I made earlier is that Charlie Kirk said things that are like more anti-Semitic than what Pat Buchanan said in the quotes that Joel Berry pulled up. And if you could do the exact same thing with Charlie Kirk, which is you can make a clip, which is exactly what people did right after he died, because they were trying to make the case that like Jews killed him or whatever. So you can make an entire clip reel of Charlie Kirk saying anti-Semitic things. So what is the point then?
Kirk cannot call himself a Christian anymore. Sorry, you forfeited that. I do not want to hear, and you cannot allow Charlie Kirk to go to one more public event, one more question and answer, one more ask me anything without being protested.
Yeah, this video sucks. I think we should. We're actually surprisingly close to the end, but
about this.
I don't think I'm going to tap out. I think.
Goes around.
Just want to hear if Ben has anything to say.
Charlie Kirk is
more
not
clips.
For white men of good stock and character. So, can you show me? Let me answer the question. Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
The Naturalization Act.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it. The founding. What does the phrase?
L, massive Charlie Kirk L. It wasn't in the Constitution because it was, what's the word? What's that one tweet, that one Dunley Coop retreat? It's like one of my favorite tweets of literally all time. Misconstrued. Men being by nature all free, equal, and independent, no one can subjected to the political power of another without his consent. Locke, perhaps elaborate more that you mean only European men of good standing. No need. It's implicit. True. It's unlikely to be misconstrued. That was the Constitution in a nutshell. And then when they wrote the Naturalization Act, they were like, oh, we better make it implicit because we wouldn't want non-whites actually becoming citizens. This clip is such a massive Charlie Kirk L for anybody who knows what was in the Naturalization Act. And I'm not sure if it because it feels a little bit edited. I don't know if Ben took that part out or what. Like the guy saying it's not in the Constitution, like he should have said he shouldn't have said it's not in the Constitution. He should have said it's in the Naturalization Act. You know what I mean? Don't give room for that point not being made, because that's the whole core of the entire point. And people need to know that. They need to know what the founding fathers really believed about race so they don't fall for these retard, colorblind arguments from the Charlie Kirks of the world.
Europe for white men of good stock and character. So, can you show me? Let me answer the question. Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that? It wasn't in the Constitution. It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't.
We the people of the United States. When they wrote that, it was only white people who were the people of the United States. So we the people was explicitly white people because that's who the people were of the United States. It's in the Constitution too. The we the people thing, you mean? Right. Our posterity. Yes. Same. Yes. We the people is the white people who started the country, and posterity is our genetic lineage. So it's in perpetuity for all time.
Believe it. The founding.
The venom, the way he spits that, they didn't believe it. The fucking venom there, there's something going on there. There's like, it's hard to explain, but it's like the cognitive dissonance. It's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a tell that he spits that so passionately.
What does the phrase e pluribus unum mean? What does the phrase e pluribus unum mean? Why is that relevant? Because it was on every founding document and presidential seal from our founding, which means out of many, one. You, sir, and your ideology is not conservative. It is right-wing, identitarian. It has no place in the conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line. Get out of line.
Fucking hell, dude. Look at the way that these people are in ecstasy right now. This is like the way their crowd is cheering. It's like they're all gonna turn into donkeys out of Pinocchio. You know what I mean? These people are literally like about to start writhing on the floor in ecstasy. The way Kirk just handled that fucking Nazi. And like here we are a few years later, and it's like this era is over. And thank God, man. Praise the Lord that this era of conservatism is over. And the comment section on Ben Shapiro's video is a testament to that.
I don't platform trolls, and I don't platform and I don't discuss people or I don't debate with people that are not good faith actors. And
you debate Maoists and people who champion.
They can keep on yelling at how successful we are and our big events and well over 1,000 employees, but a lot of gel there. We build, they complain. We succeed, we win. They blame the Jews.
After Charlie's death, TPUSA made Tucker Carlson one of its chief faces. Tucker, of course, spoke at Charlie's memorial, where he implied that hummus-eating nefarious Jews killed Charlie, with no mention of the ideology of the actual alleged murderer, who was, of course, a trans activist gay furry. Tucker Carlson, in fact, has spent more time talking about Jews and Israel since Charlie's death than about the trans-Tifa ideology that motivated Charlie Kirk's killer. By a long shot, it's not close, which is not a surprise, since he seems to spend very little.
They're very the funny thing about that is the one is downstream from the other. Tucker's just going to the source, and anybody who knows anything about trans ideology knows that. That's like I'll debate that. I'll die on that hill. Oh, you can pull up some examples of like non-Jew doctors or whatever, psychologists. Like, guess what? We're going to look at all the founding fathers and mothers of transgenderism, and it's going to be a lot of Jews. Oh, that's the thing, you know. Patrick Casey put out a tweet. I don't know if you guys saw this. I thought about watching it, but I don't want to. But it's like, oh, these people, all they care about is Israel, but actually the real issues that face America are not Israel, it's immigration and gay race communism. And it's like, again, it's not Israel, it's Jews. And gay race communism is just a symptom of too many brown people in proximity of white people. So, right? So white people build awesome communities where you would want to live, and brown people don't build awesome communities where you would want, and they look at they look at the white ones and they say, we want that, we want what they have. And it's like, well, why don't you build it? It's like, we can't, because people keep robbing and killing us and doing drugs and shit. So the gay race communism is just what happens when you have a bunch of brown people in proximity to a bunch of white people. It's a product of multiculturalism, but specifically multiculturalism that takes place in a white country gives you gay race communism. Too many brown people in your country is a symptom of too many Jews in your country, actually. I know that might not make sense to people who haven't looked into the history of like the Hart-Celler Act and so on and so forth. But actually, it's all just downstream of Jews. So whether you're Ben Shapiro or Patrick Casey, you're not fooling anyone.
Time these days attacking anyone on the left. Well, now Tucker Carlson has seen fit to launder Nick Fuentes, the person who hated Charlie most and who wished him destruction. That's not an act of friendship, it's an act of sick evil. And then, of course, there's Tucker Carlson's relationship with the vice president. Certainly, Vice President Vance has been quite generous with Tucker Carlson.
If somebody mentioned Magnus Hirschfeld. Did you know that Magnus Hirschfeld, he didn't just invent transsexual or like sex change surgery. He invented anti-racism. Magnus Hirschfeld, anti-racism. I learned this from Stone Choir. He wrote a book. He wrote a book called Racism in 1938. And this is where the whole ideology of anti-racism comes from. So transsexualism, sex positivity, gayness, whatever you want to call it, queerness, homosexuality. He didn't coin the term racism. It was, people tried to say Trotsky coined the term, by the way, to me a long time ago. But that's not true. The term racism was coined by French nationalists. And it wasn't a pejorative. It wasn't like a polemic. It was just the way the same way I use it. That was the original use. Like the same way I am a racist because I think race matters and that it's an important part of a national identity and so forth. That's how it was originally used. That's where it came from. It came from nationalists in France. And then, je suis raciste. Moi, je suis un raciste. That's where it came from. And then a few years, that was like late 1800s. And then it started to get used as a way to criticize people for having the wrong morals. And then Hirschfeld wrote his book in 38. So it all comes from Jews, you guys. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's not. I know nobody wants to be anti-Semitic. Nobody wants that. Nobody asked for it. There's a certain reality here, okay? There's a certain reality to just where we are at culturally, intellectually, and you can't deny it. You simply cannot deny it.
That loyalty was not reciprocated last week, to say the least. Here, for example, is what Nick Fuentes has said about J.D. Vance's wife, Usha.
Andrew Tate and Bronze Age pervert and all these people for years, all they talk about is going to the gym, being a vitalist, fighting the Matrix.
Just for the record, honestly, I love Jews. Nobody's above Jews.
India smells bad. All this kind of
and I don't care how they get here as long as it's legally.
shit. And now they're all in favor of a fat race mixer who's married to a Jeet who named his son Vivek, who was mentored by a Jewish neocon and a gay Fed, Peter Thiel.
This guy has a non-white wife and a kid named Vivek. This guy is going to be a defender of white identity. I don't think so. This guy's going to defend American identity.
You slammed J.D. Vance for having an Indian wife. Yet Trump's wife is an immigrant who was working here illegally for a time. His son is half foreign, bilingual, and holds dual citizenship. Yet you give him a pass. You're either a hypocrite or just retarded.
She's white. Dude, she's white.
I literally have seen all these clips.
Had, millions of
it's like Shapiro just takes the stuff that already went viral on Twitter.
I don't think we'd have a big problem with it.
Tucker Carlson had on Nick Fuentes and did not ask him a single question about any of this. He just brought him on to launder his ugly ideas and make him more popular. That doesn't seem quite like the act of a friend, which finally brings us to the Heritage Foundation. Now, I have a long and admiring relationship with the Heritage Foundation. One of the very first outlets to pick up my syndicated column when I was 17 years old, 24 years ago, was townhall.com, then a property of the Heritage Foundation. I know most of the leadership very well, and I have for decades. I know Kevin Roberts, and I like him, and I'm grateful for his contributions to the conservative movement. If you're a regular watcher of this show, you can check the interview I did with Kevin on the release of his book just last December, which is why what Kevin Roberts did last week is tragic and awful. He put out a statement that Heritage Foundation didn't just stand by Tucker Carlson. Kevin instead said openly and repeatedly that Tucker Carlson can do nothing, ever, that will sever his relationship with the conservative movement. He said that after and in defense of Tucker's glossing of Hitler defender Nick Fuentes. And he added that only members of the globalist class, direct quote, a venomous coalition, direct quote, subject to the dictates of someone else's agenda, direct quote, oppose Heritage's ongoing relationship with Tucker Carlson, which means that according to Kevin Roberts, apparently, anyone opposing the ongoing mainstreaming of Tucker Carlson is acting on behalf.
It's so fun. So when people use the word venomous, I've noticed they really don't like when you say venomous, which I think it goes back right to Jesus Christ, the OG anti-Semite, JC, the OG anti-Semite, saying you are a den of vipers. So they really don't like it when you say venomous. And it's funny, but it's funny the way they like nitpick your language. But when Josh Hammer says like Tucker needs to be neutralized, then that's totally fine and normal. You can't call them venomous, but he can call for you to be neutralized.
Of a foreign power. Kevin's statement is a betrayal of the Heritage Foundation's history and principles, which is presumably why both Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes loved it. And that's a tragedy, because America needs a robust conservative organization based on principle and ideas, not personal loyalty to bad actors like Tucker Carlson. We need strong leaders in the conservative movement willing to speak out against the moral rot that threatens our future. I hope Kevin Roberts and Heritage show us that they can still be those leaders. But if not, we'll have to look elsewhere. So, why is all of this happening? Because, like the Democratic Party, the Republican Party is being eaten by its radical. Many in the political class are too cowardly to stand up. Apparently, they're willing to play footsie with Groypers and hug Tucker Carlson out of fear of somehow losing support. They've been bamboozled by the lies of the X algorithm and the TikTok metrics. The left followed its radicals to electoral hell. Apparently, many on the right wish to do the same. Forget
the YouTube comment section too, by the looks of it, Ben. Man, I hate to keep bringing it up, but I called this all so clearly like 2.5 years ago, and it feels so good seeing it come to fruition. The Daily Wire fall off has been absolutely legendary.
Morality, then, for just a moment. Let's be pragmatic. Here is the thing. Americans hate Nick Fuentes' philosophy. They think it's trash. Republicans, by the polling, think it's trash. Independents think...
And I'm gonna make another prediction. I'm gonna predict Matt Walsh leaves the Daily Wire in the next 6 months. So is that like March, April? By March, April. Before then, he'll be out.
It's trash. Democrats think it's trash. Here's the other thing. Americans hate Tucker Carlson's laundered...
Cannot see Matt Walsh doing another 6 months. Michael Knowles, I don't think Michael Knowles just doesn't seem like he actually cares about the issues enough. It's just my read on. I like Michael Knowles actually. I think he likes, some people they just like to talk. They like the rhetoric. You know what I mean? They like to argue. They don't really care. Matt cares. Matt Walsh, you can tell he cares a bit about Americans and about his people, about his family, you know.
Anti-Americanism. Republicans think it's trash. Independents think it's trash. Democrats think it's trash. Americans are not pro-segregation,
Boring got like ousted as CEO because they're not doing good. It's my understanding. Apparently he's a bit of an asshole to work with. And I guess he played a big role in Brett Cooper leaving, right? And Candace. But more people are probably upset that Brett Cooper left than Candace. Right? Because Brett Cooper was a superstar, or is a superstar, who is like very palatable. She doesn't put you in awkward positions the way Candace maybe did for some of these people, right? But yeah, he probably it sounds like he was clashing personalities with people, and so probably played a big hand in both Candace and Brett Cooper leaving. But I think the reason he got ousted was because Brett Cooper was like a massive fuck up to lose her. It was like a big, what are you doing kind of moment. What the fuck are you doing?
Rape, anti-woman, pro-child marriage, anti-black, anti-Jew, anti-Indian, anti-Latino, anti-Constitution, pro-Hitler nutjobs like Nick Fuentes. Americans are not pro-Putin, pro-Iran, pro-China, pro-Venezuela, pro-Hamas, pro-Fuentes, pro-Tate idiots like Tucker Carlson. They hate this vile garbage. If Republicans decide to cower before
Thank you for telling me what Americans believe, Jewish man.
the likes of neo-Nazis and their propagandizers, they deserve to lose, and they will lose. Neo-Nazis and their propagandizers are not Republicans. They are not America First. They are not MAGA. They sure as hell aren't conservative. These people aren't to my right. They are not attached in any way to the fundamental principles of conservatism. And these people have already declared themselves to be my enemies. It'd be a fool not to take them seriously. If they get their way, they will hollow out the Republican Party, lead it to electoral catastrophe, and empty it and the country of any semblance of decency in the process. My answer is no. No to the Groypers. No to their publicists like Tucker Carlson. No to those who champion them. No to demoralization. No to bigotry and anti-meritocratic horse shit. No to anti-Americanism. No. This is our country. This is our party. And this is our conservative movement. I will not stand by while it is handed over to those who betray the most fundamental principles I have spent my entire life defending and advocating.
Just to be clear, is apparently not liking Putin. It's so weird to me. Like, this is the hill we have to die on, is Putin and Maduro and Qatar. Who gives a fuck about any of that?
That is a path to defeat and a path to moral oblivion. I reject it, because if we lose the right, we will lose to the left. And either way, we'll lose the country. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show.
Yeah, didn't really go the way you wanted, huh? Candace says, it was completely unnecessary to include me in this anti-Tucker rant. Alas, I shall have to respond. Debate Nick. Jewish tears mug. That's so true. That's so funny. I would almost try to sell Jewish tears mugs, but except it's so fucking corny. Get the vaccine, dopes. What's going on with Jordan Peterson? Is he alive? The soul corruption finally kill him? Hasn't posted a video in 2 months, and his videos that he does post do not crack 500,000 views, except for one from 3 months ago. Just total fall off for all of these people, man. Ben Shapiro, what's his views like? Kind of some higher views, but he's still getting like his ass kicked by Candace Owens. Right? They're not terrible, like almost 1 million views. It's not bad, but then you look at Candace, where are you talking like millions? 2 million. Wait, I go to the live. This is my okay, so on the live, Candace is doing like 2, 3, 4 million crazy views. 3 million, 3 million, 3 million. Just look at Ben Shapiro's live real quick. So he had one good stream after Charlie Kirk died, and a kind of okay one after Trump won the election. He's just getting his shit pushed in by Candace Owens. Brett Cooper is like, what?
You all probably
Does she even
think
do live streams? Not really. Brett Cooper is roughly on the same level as like Shapiro and Peterson, which is where she belongs. Honestly, I'm not a Brett Cooper fan. Her content is total slop. It's total like conservative slop. But she seems like a nice girl, though. I don't want her to fail or anything. It's just like she's not, neither a supporter nor a hater. Ben Shapiro has rallied at least one potential new ally to his cause, which is Brylan Hollyhand declaring war on the woke right.
There's a cancerous ideology spreading on the right from a small but loud group I call the woke right. They scream hate and pretend it's courage. Here's the problem, though. The left...
Yeah, it's a very good point here. Are we really the fringe? This is what Ben Shapiro wants to... Ben Shapiro hasn't gotten the update yet. He still thinks he's the mainstream and we're the fringe. But Nick had 55,000 people watching his stream last night. We're actually the mainstream now, Ben. We're not a small vocal minority. We are the movement. We are the party. And Hollyhand here is saying the same thing. He's like, oh, there's a small vocal. They want you. That's what they want you to believe. They want so badly for that to be true. Oh, it's a fringe. The fringe extremists. Check the numbers, bro. Pretty soon they're going to be doing the Bronze Age pervert Pakistani retweets cope. Pretty soon they're going to be talking about how it's all Pakistani bot farms watching Nick and retweeting his clips.
There's a cancerous ideology spreading on the right from a small but loud group I call the woke right. They scream hate and pretend it's courage. Here's the problem, though. The left didn't disavow their cancerous ideology years ago, when the Squad was just a radical fringe having press conferences. And now that loud minority grew into their base, and that movement is about to elect a socialist to run America's biggest city. If we don't call out our own in the name of winning elections, this fringe will drag our party off a cliff like the Squad did to the left. I refuse to let that happen to us. You can be a bold conservative without being a bitter one.
Hey Hollyhand, no one asked. I refuse to let that happen. Bad news. No one asked. Boss. Hey, boss. No one actually cares what you think, bro.
Call out bad things the Israeli government does without blaming the Jews.
If anyone's botted and astroturfed, it's this kid.
Every minor inconvenience in our life. Just like we can call out AIPAC for bankrolling American politicians and say that should be banned. Just like we can demand...
I've never met one Hollyhand fan in my life. You know what I mean? I know there's at least some people who like and respect Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and that. I've never seen anybody say anything positive about Brylan Hollyhand.
Secure borders while getting only the best and brightest in America without banning all legal immigration. I mean, I didn't fight to end the old establishment of the Grand Old Party and kick out the neocons just to replace it with hate. We're supposed to be the party of faith and freedom, not anger and chaos. If we sit on our hands and allow the mainstreaming of people fantasizing rape, idealizing Stalin, and proudly saying they're Team Hitler, we don't only lose every single election going forward by legitimizing the lie that the left says we're Hitler Jr., but we also lose the moral war that conservatives are here to uphold. Hate killed the left. If we're not careful, we're going to be next.
Robot the Jewish framing. No, you can't like Hitler. That's how you lose.